Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Fishbowl. I'm Preston.
And I'm Rayna.
And we are so glad to be back with you for another great week here in the beautiful podcast studio to where we're talking about a transparent talk about mental health. So, Rayna, what do you have for us today?
First, I want to ask, have you enjoyed this amazing cold weather?
No, I decided to stay in Florida to be in the sun with UV of 7, toes in the sand. I chose to stay by the beach for that reason. I don't like Orlando, Florida being colder than Alaska. Like, what is up with that? Why are we at this point where it is 24 degrees in Orlando and there's icicles in Disney and Universal and Alaska is 33 degrees? No. Now, it's been fun to wear some different things, wear outfits I don't really get to wear much in Florida, but I'm ready to be sitting by the pool again and have a lot more pool days, beach days, all that stuff. I want my doors off my Jeep. I want the UV of 7 to 9. That's my bread and butter.
Spoken of a true beach boy, for sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. I got, you're my mother, and I got that New Jersey, New York in me still, but I'm Florida born, so
I've been loving my UGG boots, so I'm good.
God.
I'm good.
I know you wear those in September when it's 60 degrees out, let alone 32 degrees out. So
True.
I can only imagine that. Absolutely. But yeah, no, ready for the warmth to come back. I go on my runs. I do all that stuff that we've talked about before, and I enjoy doing that in my running shorts and my headband, not sweatpants and a hoodie on top of a compression shirt. So yeah,
Gotcha.
No, I'm ready for the warmth.
Do you think, though, that the cold and the heat has any effect on our emotional mental health?
Okay, so to a degree. Florida, for example, you walked outside today and it was sunshine. It was bright. You were still getting hit with that sun. I came in yesterday and I came in after practice yesterday and my face was red from the sun. I was out there for a couple hours and stuff. So you get that here still.
Mm-hmm.
Take a state, like Missouri, where it's snowing all the time. It's cloudy because it's snowing all the time. And then there's not as much sunlight right now out there. That can cause some seasonal depression, if you will.
For sure.
Like, I 100% agree that I don't know if it's the cold versus the warmth as much as it is the sun versus the clouds.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure there's definitely some research to back that up for sure, that with sun versus being in cloudy weather for that seasonal depression. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I don't know. I went outside today. I went on my run still today. I went on my run yesterday. I've been doing my runs even though it's cold out and stuff. And if the sun is shining, and that's all that matters to me, the sunsets are beautiful.
It increases the motivation for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm not a sucker for many things. I'm a sucker for a good sunset and some good sun rays. So
there you go.
100%. So what do you have for us out of the Fishbowl mental health topic realm today?
So funny enough, I have started to get some input from the amazing people who we come from through our office, and was kind of trying to promote the podcast with people coming in and out and letting them know what we're doing and just asking them to just put different things and topics that they'd like to hear, trying to increase our viewers. So thank you, people who are subscribing and listening to us. Absolutely appreciate that. Hopefully we'll continue to get more. And obviously we want to really reach mental health topics that people are wanting to hear about and struggles. I had kids wanting to put stuff in there and adults, all ages, because at Foundations Counseling, we have our youngest are age 5 all the way up to 85. So we have a whole realm. So some of the input, it was amazing that we got to read some off it was to hear about love versus hate, family issues, self-care. Jake Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's an interesting one for mental health topics.
I think it was the idea of podcast versus just because he's so big in that
like
world.
the influencer world.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just think that we're going to continue to try to do that. But one thing that was repetitive that I was seeing when I was reading them was the word love. Love, whether it was through self-love or relationships. And I promise everybody and anyone who's listening to us is I'm not being cliche saying this because it's February, but I promise you that that was one of the things that was continuously coming in, whether it was family issues or, like I said, about self-love or love and relationships, love versus hate, betrayal, love, any of those things.
It's one of the trickiest words in my mind. You know, I don't throw that word around. You know, whether it's to friends, whether it's to relationships, whether it's, you know, to people, whether it's to something I enjoy doing. I don't just go, oh, I love doing that. You know, definitely when it comes to relationships, that's a very secluded word to me. You know, I don't throw that around very lightly. You know, to even in my friends, you know, I don't walk up to all my friends and be like, oh, I love you, bro. Like, no, like, you know, I think it's one of those things where it can be very tricky. Everybody's definition of love is different.
Absolutely.
Everybody's expectations of love are different. Everybody's topics of love are different. Everybody's reasons for love are different. I think, you know, everything about love breaks down to the individual you are in the 1 out of 8 billion people on this planet. You know, I think love can be beautiful. Love can be hard. Love can be messy. Love can be, you know, a variety of different words.
I think it's funny we both said messy at the same time.
It can be. It can, you know, there's a million. Love can be imperfect. Love can be, you know, so many different things.
Well, let's touch on that real quick. Love being imperfect, because I think that that's the perfect love, no matter.
Well, I'll agree. I think in today's society, we watch these internet couples or these 1 in a million couples, or everybody has their own opinion on what a relationship should look like online now.
Well, it's AI, and that a lot of it.
Hold on. I don't agree with that. I think we're overusing the term AI as a society. I think it's false expectations. I think it's this idea that love can be categorized into 4 or 5 different categories of what it is.
Okay.
Healthy, toxic, mutual, one-sided, avoidant, anxious, and, you know, then you get into attachment styles, when love is a very non-linear path, in my opinion. You don't get from point A to B in love. I think you go from, you know, the second you meet somebody to that first conversation, to the first hangout, to the first sexual experience, to the first time meeting the families, to the first, there's so many different things to make up this realm of love that you can't justify in my experience versus Conrad's experience versus, you know, Michael's experience versus all that. Like, you can't.
Well, I think you have to trust your timing in love and trust where you are as an individual. And I think a lot of people lack that. I think people lack their confidence in
100%
in the experience itself. So without going into where the advice came from, what would you say is the best advice on love, whether it's romantic, personal, or any type of love that you were given?
Well, it's different. Personal, it's, you know, you gotta love yourself before you can love someone else.
1,000%.
You know, there's funny enough, it's in a rap song that my brother and I like to listen to. You know, if you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? So personal, you know, it's just know that you're enough. Know that you are on this earth for a reason, and that you are beautiful, and that this game of life is a beautiful, horrible, messy, imperfect, strange ride. And, you know, I go back to David Harbour, who plays Hopper in Stranger Things, and he had an acceptance speech when Stranger Things won, I think, like Best New Show or something in 2017 or 2018. And he said something like that, where that, like, we are all together on this joyous, beautiful, horrible, terrible, messy ride that we called being alive.
Oh, sure.
And just know that even when you're at your lowest, that is still your part of it. That's part of your ride. That's part of your life. You know, you have to love yourself to love other people, and you have to know you're enough and that you have worth in this world. Because if you can't give yourself worth, how are you going to give somebody else worth? Because it's going to take over your mind. But what I'm thinking is, how are you going to ever know what the outcome is if you don't try?
Okay.
If let's say you're asking,
Is that your best advice?
yeah, my best advice would be, and I'm no love whisperer, I'm no love doctor at all by any means.
Oh my gosh, what was her name? Delilah, I think, was the lady.
I'm no
Here's
love
the name.
doctor, but my best piece of advice would be, go for it, because you're either in the direction you want to be, or you're on the road you're supposed to be. But if you don't go for it, you're just going to be in the same spot.
So what do you say about the hard thing and the right thing are almost the same?
The hard thing and the right thing?
Uh-huh.
Explain that a little bit more.
Are almost the same thing. So to do the hard thing and the right thing, it's almost the same thing.
That's dependent on the situation.
Okay.
You know, sometimes the right thing is the easy thing to do, you know. But whether it's telling somebody how you feel, telling, you know, taking that trip, moving to that different state, moving to take the job opportunity because you think it's the better thing, even though you're leaving behind a lot of things. Like, that is the hard thing, but it's also the right thing. So I think that's a very good quote. Like, they can be the same thing in a lot of ways. Sometimes, though, the right thing can be apparent and easy and in front of you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some hard decisions I've made in life have been the best decisions of my life.
Sure.
You know, without getting into too many of them, some of the hardest decisions I've made in my life have been the best decisions I've done for myself, whether it's been to take a chance at a college where I knew nobody from high school, where I was going in knowing nobody, and now I have an entirely different network and have some of the strongest connections that I'm going to probably keep for the rest of my life. You know, whether it was so many different things where it was like, at the time it was like, oh, that's a leap, you know, that's a leap of faith. That's what me and one of my teammates have been talking about right now. There's a scene, and we brought him up last week, but we're bringing him up again, in one of the Spider-Man movies, where he isn't really Spider-Man until he takes that leap of faith. It's in Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles, for a quick 10 seconds, Miles isn't unsure, like, how is he going to know when he's ready to be Spider-Man? And his mentor, Peter Parker, is like, you're not. that's the thing, Miles. It's a leap of faith. And it's this great, beautifully done scene where he takes a leap of faith off of a building and finds out that he's Spider-Man. PSA, Spider-Man's not real. Your leap of faith is internal.
You just ruined that for
Your
everybody.
leap of faith is internal.
Absolutely.
Whether it's taking that shot, whether it's telling somebody how you feel, whether it's taking that job opportunity, take your leap of faith, because if you don't, you might never know what's on the other side.
Right.
Because if you take it and you fall on your face, you're going to get back up. You're going to be okay. And if you take it and it's the outcome you want,
Right.
then you're on the road that you should be.
So, it's funny. I was going, I feel like we kind of came back around to like relationships, but there's so many different love dynamics. As you know, at Foundations Counseling, one of our big programs is supervised visitation, which deals with the dynamics of parent-child relationships, which is a whole nother level of love and seeing that. And of course, unfortunately, sometimes I have to deal with broken relationships and fractured relationships. And it's hard. It's hard to deal with that and to see that. But at the end of the day, I see parents who do, and I'm so passionate, and anyone who's, whether they're in the field, and of course you, as you've grown up and on the outside and now are an employee and see it firsthand, know how passionate I am to be able to provide that service for families, to be able to have that opportunity for whatever the situation is where parents are rebuilding and working on that relationship with their kids, to come in and visit and to work on that, to have that time with their kids. But going back to the word love and to work on what that means, what would you say is the most connected, now that we worked on the advice, the word of love, what is the word that would be attached to that? I want to get what you would say. Every time I ask this, I always ask it in like an intake or something like that. I say, what is, when you talk about love, or what is the most important thing for you to work on in rebuilding the relationship with, well, I love my child, or I love my wife, or I love my girlfriend, or I love my partner, or I love my husband. And I say, okay, great. That's amazing. So what is important to you when I'm hearing that word love? So with that love, what is important that you need to give back to get that love back into that high level, that importance for you? What would you say is the most important that I hear? I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm also talking from parents.
What's the most important thing to give up for love?
No, that they give to reconnect it when it's broken or fractured.
You have to give up, I think, if it's fractured love, if it's broken love.
If it's fractured and you want to work on it, to rebuild it, to reconnect it.
You have to put your ego aside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure.
Because
ego.
Love is between, whether it's
like that.
family, whether it's a family of four, whether it is a couple.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Love is all about a connection between humans, whether it's a family or whether it's two individuals.
Mm-hmm.
No human being is perfect, even though a lot of us want to think we are.
That's true.
And to rebuild a fractured love with another person that is obviously has been there or is fracturing, you have to put your ego aside and give yourself into that idea of love. And you have to understand that, yes, you might have made a poor decision, or maybe you didn't, but you have to just not take this as, if it's fractured love, it's me versus them. Because at the end of the day, love is a connection between humans, and every human has an ego, and every human is imperfect. So that is why if I had one word, it'd be ego.
Okay.
That is what you have to sacrifice or put aside for love.
How about a trait?
A trait
Mm-hmm.
that you have to give, like to put aside.
Again, no, not put aside, that we're looking for.
To look for, to
yeah,
build that
to
love,
build that-
communication. I have a
Absolutely.
degree in communication. It's communication. That's the most basic answer, probably, that you get the most. But once
No,
again,
I don't. But that's the one I give.
it has to be communication.
Everyone always says trust.
No.
They always go to trust
Well,
all the way.
trust comes with proper communication.
Communicate, and that's what I say. See, you are my son.
Well, yes, I most definitely am your son. I think communication is just imperative in any sort of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a mother and son bond. Communication's imperative.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's what I try to build, especially within all of our programs at Foundations, and especially, with whether you're working on that fractured relationship, co-parenting, anybody that's coming in, and even our self-care. We have to learn to even our self-talk. Think about that. When you're self-talking, you're learning how to self-soothe yourself, the communication within ourselves, all of those things. We have to learn to communicate. And of course, trust is important. We're not saying trust isn't important in a relationship.
by any means,
but
not
you
at
can't
all.
get trust without communication.
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree with that, because how do you build trust without properly communicating and talking and interacting with somebody?
1,000%. So I do want to talk real quick before we are going to wrap up, that we are going to have Amanda come on our next podcast, because if I put it on here, that means I'm going to hold her to it. She is coming on from Oak Ridge Treatment Center, a Hero's Mile. So we're really, really excited about that we're going to be able to hear about the programs there and everything. So very, very excited about that. So Amanda, if you are listening to this one, that means we're holding you to coming on to us next week. So we're super excited about it. And guys, definitely really appreciate you subscribing, and please don't forget to comment. Some of you have emailed us directly, and we really appreciate the feedback and all the support. And definitely give us a call if you need us. We're here, www.fc321.org, Foundations Counseling. And as always, be good to yourself. And I'm Rayna.
And I'm Preston. And thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Fishbowl. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.